never knew, um, and you'll be shocked that you learn about FTX and how they grew so fast. And I always tell this story because this is the story of, how I got to know the CEO of FTX. Um, and basically, it was through networking of a friend, an alumni at my university. I ran into on LinkedIn. He started chatting with me, and he says, "Oh yeah, he said he was going to the Bahamas every day, from New York and San Francisco." And I was like, "What?" I said, "How? What kind of job is that? Like maybe I thought he worked for the airport or something." He says, "No, man. Like basically, he was like, accompanying a friend." I said, "Okay, whatever. I don't want to get in his business." I was like, "Whatever." So maybe he is doing something that deals with hotels because we did hospitality at our university. So I would assume that he was, in the hospitality industry with that person who was taking him back and forth on the Bahamas. And basically, he was um, in this guy's little entourage, and basically he was like the bag dude. All right, get my bags from this guy's not carrying his own bags. Like this guy's a multi-millionaire already, so he's not worrying about his luggage. He's having some brother carry his luggage and his shit because, although he's carrying his own computer equipment too. So he has a lot of computer equipment he has to carry around, and he's not using the hotel's computer equipment. He's using his own computer equipment, and then he has his own clothes. When you're rich, you get to, travel with a lot of clothes, because basically you're probably flying charter or you're flying first class if you're not flying one of those. So basically, my friend was working for the FTX CEO, and he was teaching him all these things. Well, he wasn't teaching; he was just overhearing things, and he was just mouthing it off to me. And he says, "Oh, like you want to like get in? Like what? Maybe I could pitch to him." I said, "Okay, well maybe you could pitch in, elements of growth things, of growing your entity and basically onboarding acquisitions, in a quick way through through different SEO techniques, through through different growth techniques I learned through my history of working in Silicon Valley, of getting the word out there really quickly of your entity and getting users real on board, and filling out your subscription with qualified leads, basically. And that's what I was doing. I was doing that basically from my car. You go from work and then you go to the gym and you shower, and then you come back to work, and then you work some more, and then maybe you fall asleep at the office. Um, then you wake up, work some more. Then maybe you give up and just go to the bar or get something to drink. Um, and then decide to go home or not after that. Sometimes, it's not even worth going home. And you're just there to expand that company as fast as possible because you don't know, it's a couple of things you have to worry about in consideration. Is funding, are they going to get funding? How fast? The more acquisitions you could get through the door, the longer this job will last, basically. And if you don't figure that out on the fly, you better have you better have always one mouse click on LinkedIn, or networking, or your next opportunity, basically. So what I mean by that, I always had things of quickly of going through scanning on the net where to get acquisitions fast, and that was through a lot of techniques that I learned throughout the you know my tenure of product development and product marketing, um, of getting onboarding acquisitions real fast to accomplish venture goals, basically. Venture goals are unrealistic, um, you know, quarterly stats that you need to make investors happy. And that's what I chased for around 20 years of my life. So I knew exactly um, how to get this guy acquisitions, basically. And my friend would go back and tell him. My friend was like, "Holy snap! That those numbers go good." And my friend came back and he was like, I was chatting and stuff, and and one day he put him on the phone, and sometimes I didn't believe it because my friend, he'll name anonymous, but my friend talks to a lot of people. He's one of those people who like irritate the hell out of you. Like a stranger just come up and just want to chat. And he's good at that. He's good at like conversation, and then he's even good at getting what he want out of people from that conversation. Although, if you know him personally, you kind of ignore it, but it's just nice to see that someone has that type of conversation or charisma, and who could warn people verbally. Because there's a lot of people who don't know how to do that, and he was a person who could really do that. Um, and he did it for the CEO of one of the biggest exchanges. And he came back, and I said, well, first of all, what does his Wikipedia look like? Does he control his Wikipedia? That was the first thing I told him to invest in. I said, find content people that could really write a good a neutral Wikipedia post, a very good neutral Wikipedia post, and then I would lock it basically. I would lock it as soon as you get that. I would lock it. Mm. And then secondly, I would go on blog, on a big, you know, blog, um, on a big blog company site. It could be any blog site. It could be blogger.com. It could be that's the most historical one. Medium. Um, it could be Typepad. There's tons of them, but and I would temporarily do that, just and keyword optimize that for trends in the industry, and make a funnel of that page, of retargeting, onboarding, cross sells, upsells, you know, basically onboarding to acquisition to groups to social media, just that one blog post. And I'll put that many. I'll have a content team doing that stuff all day long. Like in the beginning, I want a blog post every hour. Yeah, every hour in every region. I would kill it in that, man. People always have something to read on our blog posts. And then on Twitter, I would like go on Twitter events. Is our Twitter optimized? Do we have the API locked down on Twitter? I would get that Twitter API going. The Twitter API can index stuff that's on really, um, if you put the Twitter API on, man, damn, that alone could grow your startup, you know. And then I would use Twitter automation, tools, not to, and stay within the limits. You don't have to go, crazy the first day. You could grow it, just 10, 15, 30, 50 a day. Um, Other than that, I would do help files. I would have very good customer support. Like I would hire like Midwest graduates, um, that spoke very good English or whatever language that I would just you're going after. I would just get very good people who speak the language, and then I would even upgrade that. I would hire like for my customer support. I would hire people from rich countries for my customer support. I wouldn't hire poor countries for that, and that's what he did. When you called FTX back in the day, you had someone from like a New York accent. Yeah, that's true too. It was somebody from New York. I think it was from like Yonkers or something. Yeah, and it was from a New York accent, and you knew like that wasn't like that like made his startup like very trustworthy because like a sports player want to know investment things and they wanted to call in because maybe they didn't know how to do something from their phone, and they got someone from New York, and some person from New York has a very good like charisma over the phone. So basically, that's how FTX like shockingly grew without his manipulation. And his manipulation was the algorithm. It wasn't really anything devious. If you want to manipulate algorithms, that's not really stealing if you really think about it. So if you're manipulating algorithm, okay, let's say if you manipulate charm, it's just like you just practice it and maybe no one knew about it of that emotion. Like I'm pretty sure the human emotion has many emotions that we don't use, and if you're good at that just one emotion and you could multiply it, automate it, and hit everyone at that certain moment, you don't you know basically you don't hit someone up for a cross sell for pizza after they after dinner because like you're not hungry. So I always go back to that. You don't give. That's like you at the grocery store. You're not supposed to go to the grocery store full because you won't buy anything. Because your sensations are all like, okay, do I really need this fruity pebble cereal with whole milk or extra like maybe honey or syrup or marshmallows? You're not gonna be thinking of that if you're like have the munchies. If you don't have the munchies, oh man, like, and that and a company has to figure out like Jack in the Box figure out, oh, when they start doing munchies advertisings, and what happened, everyone who did that certain recreational um, thing came and basically say, "Oh snap! I'm gonna have the munchies." So before I know I'm gonna have the munchies, I go and hit up the Jack in the Box or Taco Bell for munchies, um, you know, food basically, and that was the munchie industry. Those two fast food chains, those two fast food chains had something that no one else, or no other corporate place thought of or even think about doing. To even try to touch that subject because it's very sensitive still in some markets. You know, so and they took off of it. Jack in the Box made millions off that. It was millions of freaking recreational users right before they start their recreational stuff in line to get those two tacos, and those two greasy tacos. You stick in the oven after you're like have that urge for munchies. You eat those two tacos, the fries from Jack in the Box, or those tacos from Taco Bell or Del Taco or wherever taco place that you go to, mom and pop taco place. You just stick it in the oven or the microwave, and then you have this great munchies. And that was like a advertising campaign. I think they branded it and they took it off. Like they took off with that campaign. No one else used. And they manipulated the algorithm. Did they um, did the Jack in the Box and Taco Bell CEOs go to jail for manipulating the algorithm of hunger of a recreational substance? No, they didn't. They hacked the algorithm. They knew that no one else is going to market that. And what happened? Sales, and that's like the worst meal you could have at Jack in the Box. That's like, and it's like that, and that's the best acquisition for Jack in the Box too. Like you come in, you thought you were gonna get two tacos, and you end up getting a burger, fries, chicken, and Jack in the Box have the whole full menu. You could get like rice bowls and stuff, teriyaki bowls and stuff. It's like wow, Jack in the Box is hack the algorithm for a thing that no one else knew, and that's how FTX owner did same thing. And what he did was other part is I don't want to get into it. It's like God bless everyone, so everyone gets a little, trading places. I don't know if anyone's in that movie. Remember the Dukes? The Dukes got caught. They got greedy. They wanted to corner the market, and then they want to keep doing it. Basically they wanted to keep doing it. So, you know, um, and that's what happens. Someone else gets jealous, or maybe you did too much. It's like how much more. But sometimes I always, stick up for him because he was spending money, not hoarding it. So that's the only thing why Trump should pardon him is because he was like Mayweather. Mayweather is broke now, but he got still a couple of good fights under his belt that he could fight and have money for his kids, basically. So, and then he's not really broke. He has it on. He has it in watches. He's working with Dubai. He has Dubai in his pocket. So he's like, I don't know. He's his own dealer with cars. He's introducing high net worth individuals in Dubai with fancy cars and watches. And he's that's his algorithm hack. You could go and basically pay for things in watches and find watches like that. So, and cars. So for Mayweather, he has his own currency basically, and that's watches. Like if you see his YouTube and like, wow, like he has like dozens of like expensive watches, like have diamonds or like probably if it wasn't for he has paid probably the Swiss kids inherited like 10 times over. Like anyone who should be probably going to jail is probably Mayweather, and that's not probably a fact. That's probably he. And then if you make him go to jail, he probably have a luxury prison like probably like in the stratosphere of Vegas. He would make the jail so cool that you would have to like, okay, just let him go. Like being outside was actually better for him than being inside. So, but if you really want to lock someone up, it should be probably Mayweather in that he started his own currency from expensive watches, and he has made the Swiss economy 10 times what it is today. All because of a good investment. Mayweather really knows watches. And that's pretty good that, he uses his money. He doesn't hoard it. Like, he's out there spending it. Like, Warren Buffett, he hoards that money. You don't see that guy flash boating anything. He's probably saying, that dude is probably I think, yeah, it is true. I think he's in the same house he was born in. And that's, like, ridiculous, man. It's like, dude, I don't believe that. And then, man, you gotta flaunt that money somehow. Because, it's common enough for survival of the fittest, man, in the world. So if you had the chance to get $1 million like that, oh, God bless you. Because, it's like that rapper Easy said, like, I'd rather live like a Roman for a couple years and live a full poor life for like 100 years, and that's kind of true. Like I'd rather live like a Roman, so like a Roman person, like for 10 years, like and that means, that means you have everything for 10 years and you're rocking it, and after those 10 years you probably die or you go crazy or something. I don't know, or you lose your money, or it's just, or you usually die. Yeah, you usually die after those 10 years, and that's true too. If you really think about it, as in the celebrityism only lasts until that popularity of that show, and then after that, they're just, they're like typecasted, so they can't even get like a new role. So that's why you kind of want to Will Smith your role you with other actors, with other movies. If you look at Will Smith's career, he was always piggybacking off other big actors, and so he won't have to be like the star of the show, but he is the face of the show, bringing in, you know, I guess you could say the minority base. So, and then his like popularity was just like The Rock back then. So anyhow, these are some of the 14 things about FTX you never knew and that will shock you about FTX, and it will be about my book coming out. In the description, it's the link. You can have the first chapter for free. Anyhow, hopefully if you like this video, if you don't like it, you know what? If you don't like it, tell me in the description. Put a thumbs down, unsubscribe. All right, buon appetito. See you in the next video.